Jai Radha Gopi Jana Vallabha Vṛndāvana Gopi Jana Vallabha Vṛndāvana Śrī Radha-Madana-mohana, Śrī Sita-Ram, all glory to Hare Krishna. All glory to Śrī Guru. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. My voice is a little softer today. Very happy to be here in Washington Temple again after the lapse of 3 years. And that was essentially due to COVID. So it's very nice to see that a beautiful temple is being built over here. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Hare Krishna. Can you hear me in the four corners? Can you hear me? Okay. I got a little bit of a cold yesterday. So, we're very happy to see that Prabhupada's desire of having a nice temple in Washington is being realized. So, when you read, I'll have Gopāla read to you one verse from the Caitanya Mahāprabhu. Is that okay?
Yeah, so, yes.
Okay.
Done. Discuss the bhakti.
You said, no sound.
No, guys. Lakshman Bhakti. Press the
You,
button. No.
you said,
Adi Lila, Chapter 7, Lord Caitanya in 5 features, text 164. Mathurāte pāṭhāila rūpa-sanātana. Mathurāte pāṭhāila rūpa-sanātana. Dui senā-pati kaila bhakti pracāraṇa. Dui senā-pati kaila bhakti pracāraṇa. Translation. Lord Caitanya dispatched the two generals, Rūpa Gosvāmī and Sanātana Gosvāmī, to Vṛndāvana to preach the bhakti cult. Purport, translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada Ki. When Rūpa Gosvāmī and Sanātana Gosvāmī went to Vṛndāvana, there was not a single temple, but by their preaching they were gradually able to construct various temples. Sanātana Gosvāmī constructed the Madana-mohana temple, and Rūpa Gosvāmī constructed the Govindajī temple. Similarly, their nephew Jīva Gosvāmī constructed the Rādhā-Dāmodara temple. Śrī Gopāla Bhaṭṭa Gosvāmī constructed the Rādhā-ramaṇa temple. Śrī Lokanātha Gosvāmī constructed the Gokulānanda temple, and Śyāmānanda Gosvāmī constructed the Śyāmasundara temple. In this way, many temples were gradually constructed. For preaching, construction of temples is also necessary. The Gosvāmīs not only engaged in writing books, but also constructed temples, because both are needed for preaching work. Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu wanted the cult of his Sankirtan movement to spread all over the world. Now that the International Society for Krishna Consciousness has taken up this task of preaching the cult of Lord Caitanya, its members should not only construct temples in every town and village of the globe, but also distribute the books that have already been written and further increase the number of books. Both distribution of books and construction of temples must continue side by side in parallel lines.
Hare Krishna. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Hare Krishna. So here we read the Caitanya Mahāprabhu sent two of the generals. Who were they? Rūpa and Sanātana, to Vṛndāvana, to establish temples. Rūpa and Sanātana were at one time serving in a Mohammedan ruler, and in their heart They had no desire to serve the king. So first, Rūpa Gosvāmī resigned, and with great difficulty escaped and went to Vṛndāvana. And then his brother Sanātana, he was arrested, imprisoned, but he also managed to go to Vṛndāvana. Lord Caitanya gave them certain essential duties. And one of them was to build what? Build the temples of the Lord. Why? Well, these temples of the Lord have a very special significance. And these temples permitted due conditions for to come and get purified. So Rūpa and Sanātana came to Vṛndāvana, and they were the first ones to establish these temples. What's your deity here known?
Rādhā-Madana-mohana.
The first temple that was established in Vṛndāvana was the temple of Rādhā-Dāmodara. By whom? By Sanātana Gosvāmī. Renounced his important job. He came to Vṛndāvana, made it by doing mathurāte. So the story goes, that Sanātana Gosvāmī was going house to house, and he came to a residence on Mr. Puruṣottam Chobbe, where he saw a very beautiful deity. He was very attracted to the deity, and he asked if he could have that deity. And the devotee said, no. But the same night, that Brahko Pujari had a dream. In the dream, the Lord told him that you may please turn over my devotion to this mendicant who asked you for my, and the Pujari was ordered directly by the Lord, and he gave the deity to Sanātana Gosvāmī. Sanātana Gosvāmī established a deity, and he was giving him very simple worship. And one day, the Lord saw that Sanātana was feeding him dry chapati. And the Lord said, Sanātana, can't you do something better? And he said, that's all I do, that's all I have. I eat without salt, and that's what I do. So there was a very big businessman who was sailing on the Yamuna on his way to Agra to do some business. His boat got stuck. And it got stuck very near the place that Sanātana Gosvāmī was worshipping the deity. So the businessman Kapoor saw that somebody is living nearby. So he came and told Sanātana that I'm on my way to Agra to sell my merchandise. And now my boat is stuck, and I must get out of here before it gets dark. Otherwise the dacoits may kill me. So Sanātana said, you can pray to the deity of Madana-mohana. So the businessman prayed to the deity, and he proceeded. And he made huge profit. So when he came back, he told Sanātana, by your mercy and the mercy of the deity, I made a huge profit. You can have all that. So what did Sanātana do? Sanātana told him to construct a temple of Rādhā-ramaṇa. And so the first temple in Vṛndāvana was constructed by Sanātana Gosvāmī. And what was the name? Rādhā-ramaṇa. Rādhā-ramaṇa also the name of your deity. So Sanātana Gosvāmī established the first temple. And prior to that, there were many important temples in Vṛndāvana, but by the Mohammedan rule, they got smashed, destroyed. And they were either buried or carried away to Jaipur. And Vṛndāvana had reached a situation. There was no temple at all. Lord Caitanya was there. Lord Caitanya sent the generals go and establish temple. And so Rūpa Kṛṣṇa Gosvāmī established the first temple. And then subsequently other temples were made. So in our scriptures, you read clearly. What do you read? You read about the importance of deity worship. Caitanya Mahāprabhu instructed his followers 5 important principles. What were they? First one was chant, stay in devotee association, sadhu sangha. And if you stay in sadhu sangha, what do you understand? You understand that the process for advancement is chanting the holy name. And if you stay in association, you also understand the importance of reading the scripture. And you also understand the value of worshipping the deity in love and devotion. So this worshipping the deity, the Archa Vigraha, is historical. These deities that you see in many of the ancient temples of India were installed thousands of years ago, and many of them were supervised by great grandson of Krishna. So worshipping the deity, filling temples, is something in our scripture. And why is it important? It's important because we need to worship the Lord. And we worship the Lord in Archa Vigraha. The emperor is going to say, oh, God has no form. But our understanding is, God has a form. His form is completely Janma Karma Jama Divyam. So the Lord is worshipped in Archa Vigraha form. And Lord Caitanya instructed his followers worship the deity. So these temples are built, why? To please the Lord. Just like in any ordinary society, what do you see? You see that the first thing a man does when he makes money is what? Build a house. All of you have homes? Your own. First thing he does, he said, roti kapar makan. But the first thing they want is makan. This is in almost all the religious faiths. A few years ago, I was in the Middle East, and I noticed that every few yards there was a mosque. And I was surprised to see so many mosques. So I asked the local devotee, is this financed by the government? And they said, no, it's all financed by individuals. And it's a custom in the Muslim tradition. So when you make money, before you build your own house, what do? You construct a residence of the Lord. And that is our tradition. But many of us, what do we believe? We will make our house, our children's house, grandchildren's house, and then ultimately after 4 or 5 generations, something for the Lord. So the Lord gives us the facility, gives us the means, and if we use it in service of the Lord, I guess it. Prabhupada encouraged construction of a temple. Prabhupada went to the West as you know, just 40 degrees. After Prabhupada established these temples in the West, he returned to India. And he wanted major temples to be constructed in Vṛndāvana and Bombay. And Prabhupada inspired his followers. Right? So similarly, when Prabhupada came to America, he also wanted temples to be built. Why? Because temple is the residence of the Lord, where you can come, you get purified. And Prabhupada came to the city of Washington. When did he come? When did he say? One trip or two trips. Prabhupada came here and he expressed it to the heart that we should have a nice temple. He had a very nice problem. It took a long time. There were so many complications. And it took a long time. But ultimately, everything that Prabhupada desired actually comes true. You must have heard of the Hare Krishna land temple in June. At one time, Prabhupada used to go to the house of Śrīmati Mahāraji. Are you all familiar with Śrīmati Mahāraji? And to go to her house, you had to pass by what is now known as the Hare Krishna land. So at that time, the Hare Krishna land was just a jungle, pure jungle. And Prabhupada's position was so poor that Prabhupada would walk from the Andheri station to where he was residing, just to save 10 paisa to bus fare. You have been to Andheri station in Mumbai. Prabhupada used to walk, catch a train, because he didn't have money. And at that time, he offered a prayer to the Lord. He said, "My dear Lord, if you ever give me this facility, I'll construct a magnanimous temple for you." And after establishing his cause, Prabhupada, when he returned to India with the Western disciples, he wanted to construct a major temple in Bombay. And when he saw this land, he said, "It's the same land that I pray to the Lord that I may construct a temple for him." So Prabhupada, in numerous letters, encouraged devotees to build a temple. And these temples are places of worship, places of residence. There are scriptures you read that anyone who constructs a temple of the Lord or helps in constructing, what does he get? What does he get? He gets what's it? And once when Prabhupada in Bombay was trying to establish a temple in June. But there were some local people who were very opposed to it for political purposes. So there was one Mr. Sethi, who became a devotee, who helped Prabhupada immensely in getting the project started. The Prabhupada was so pleased. He said, "Sethi, you are making a house for Krishna here. And Krishna is making a house here in the abode for you." In other words, one who constructs the temple of the Lord helps in the construction. What does he get? He gets unlimited mercy. So these temples are needed. And in Washington, as you know, Prabhupada himself predicted, desired that a beautiful temple should be built. Now the temple is being built, and Prabhupada used to give us example of a blind man and a lame man. There was a blind man. He said, I can't see, but I have to reach a destination. And the layman said, I can't walk, but I have to reach. And then so the blind man said, I have the solution. My legs and what? Your eyes. So Prabhupada said, we as sadhus may have certain abilities, certain desire to preach, but we don't lack all. We don't have everything. We're dependent on our businessmen, devotee community to help. And the two work together, and the mission of the Lord is here. So this temple of the Lord is being built for the pleasure of the Lord. And it is a great privilege to have the opportunity to serve the Lord. To get some material achievement is no big deal. To engage in service to the Lord is the other work. In Lord Caitanya once told the devotee, now onwards, I am only going to eat in the house of a millionaire, Lakpati. So the devotees of Lord Caitanya were not so rich. Most of them were very poor. So they said, you only eat in the house of a Lakpati. We are not Lakpati. Lord Caitanya said, Lakpati, I mean, one who chants the holy names of the Lord at least 100,000 times. So the real millionaire is one who engages in service to the Lord. Krishna is self-sufficient. He doesn't need anything. He's self-sufficient. But Krishna gives us the opportunity to engage in service. He gives us the opportunity to help build the temple. He gives us the opportunity to print books. He gives us the opportunity to preach the mission of the Lord. And that is a real mercy. So this temple is a beautiful temple. I can see that the work is going very far. I plan to walk around and see it. So this temple is being built to fulfill whose desire? Prabhupada's desire. What was that? So we should all consider it a great privilege to have the opportunity to engage in this service. The Lord is self-sufficient. He doesn't need anything. But He gives us the opportunity to engage in this service. So each of us should try our best to do something. Everything is noticed by the Lord. And we sincerely endeavor to Lord help. Prabhupada used to say, you take one step towards Krishna. Krishna takes 10 steps. So the Lord has now given the devotees in the Washington area an opportunity to engage in very nice service. And what's that? Construct the temple of the Lord. So we may say, I don't like the design, I don't like this. One thing is, temple is being built for the praise of the Lord. And we should all endeavor to take part in it. The Lord is pleased, even with a tiny bit of food. You may have noticed all the principal temples of India. They were built by the kings and the devotees. And Krishna gives us the opportunity to engage in it. Lord Caitanya sent Rūpa Gosvāmī and Sanātana Gosvāmī to Vṛndāvana, show them to construct temple. So just like the Lord wanted temples to be built in Vṛndāvana, the Prabhupada, Lord's pure devotee, he also had his desire that temples be built outside India. And Prabhupada built How many temples? It doesn't have all the Lord Chaitanya's mission to spread everything. So our experience is, once a temple of the Lord is built, it attracts and facilitates the service of many people. Naturally, when you see an attractive building, you feel like going and sitting. You see the churches with the built, they make it so attractive. So, this temple, Madana-mohana, is being built for the pleasure of the Lord by the devotees of the Lord. And anyone who helps construct this temple will get the unlimited worship of the Lord. So Krishna is very kind. He comes to us in various ways. He incarnates in the holy name. The holy name is knowledge from the Lord. What is it? Kaila Rūpa. Krishna incarnates in the holy name. The holy name is not in the Buddha. The holy name cleanses our heart. Our heart is contaminated, polluted. Why can we purify? How much? Prabhupada was ordered by the spiritual master to take these teachings of Lord Caitanya to the Western world. And prior to Prabhupada, many of his God brothers had attempted, but they were not so successful. And Prabhupada's God brothers were thinking, yes, the prediction is there, but Kali Yuga is so deep, it may not be realized. But Bhakti had full faith. When he saw Prabhupada, in the very first meeting in Calcutta, he concluded, yes, he is a young man who will fulfill Lord Chaitanya's order. And in the first meeting, Prabhupada got his instruction. Prabhupada took it to heart, and after a long struggle, came to the West. And when he came to the West, again it was a struggle. Several, the first year, the struggle was very intense. At one time, Prabhupada didn't even have a permanent place to live. But he was determined, and ultimately he established his cause. And as he established his cause, when he was establishing his cause, he consulted his devotees. What should the leader of this society be named? Some said, call this the International Society for God Consciousness. So said, no, you have to be specific. And he did not compromise. The Prabhupada was advised, please don't present these principles. No one will follow. He did not compromise. So Prabhupada gave us a real message. And due to his efforts, Krishna Consciousness spread to almost every corner of the globe. And Prabhupada also wanted temples to be built in the West so that Krishna Consciousness is more respected. I'm really happy that after a long struggle, the construction of this project has really started. And this is a wonderful opportunity for all of us to get purified. Krishna knows what our means are. I can hide from you, you can hide from me. You can't even hide anything from Krishna. Can they?
No.
Krishna doesn't know. Nobody can. So we should honestly try and serve, take part in this wonderful opportunity to build the temple. And the temple is there for future generations also. And then, those who made it possible can say, yes, this was made with the effort with our help. So this is a wonderful opportunity for all of you to get involved and complete this temple and make it one of the most attractive temples in Washington area. In Washington area you have such beautiful churches, yeah, temples, Mormon temples, and there's so many other beautiful temples. So they should also be very attractive Vedic temples. Is that right?
Yes.
Something you can be proud of. So we hope that all of you will enthusiastically help realize this temple. I'm sure all of you have probably already started fulfilling your efforts. And if you're very fortunate, we have the opportunity to give you this help. This beautiful temple. Of course, to build a temple is a struggle. Nothing is easy. We build so many temples. We know what we do struggle. The struggle is there because people are not as generous as they should be. In some cultures, people are more generous, but in spite of struggle, in spite of challenges, we should try to serve the best of our capacity. And we help serve occasionally. There are so many references in our scriptures for the importance of temple construction. So I thought that today I could, coming after 3 years and seeing the progress in construction, I thought that I could try to encourage all of you to help build this temple. ISKCON has built temples all over the world. In India, we have over 100 temples now that we built over the last 50 years. In the West also, there are several temples. But building a temple in the West is a little bit more difficult than building in India. It's a big challenge to build this temple, but I'm sure that if all of you make an effort, the impossible will be achieved in no time. Krishna's coming to say, by the mercy of Caitanya Mahāprabhu, a blind man can see, a deaf man can hear, a lame man can cross mountains. So Prabhupada said, never take no for an answer. So it's a wonderful opportunity to engage in service, to please the Lord, please Prabhupada, please the Vaishnavas. And if we take one step, we all take 10 steps. So we should all take part in this project and complete the project as soon as possible. So the project is being built for the pleasure of Rādhā-Dāmodara. And we have a classic example of how the first temple Madana-mohana was built. The businessman made a profit and he gave his wealth to make a temple. So he used everything in service of the Lord. And this will enable us to make it beautiful. And if you're determined, then Krishna will give you the opportunity. The Lord is also testing us. The Lord always desires a temple. The deity of Gopāl was hidden underneath this mud because the Pujari wanted to save the deity from the Brahmin attack. But then the Lord appeared to Gopāl and demon there. I'm feeling great heat. Please rescue me from this place and restore me. And Madana-mohana, what did he do? He constructed the temple of the Lord. Immediately he was restored. But this is a long tradition, building temples. So here's the opportunity for building a beautiful temple in Washington area. This temple will give prestige to his cause, prestige to Prabhupada, and prestige to Ayurvedic thought. Once the temple is built and properly managed, you have a lot of people coming for darshan, and they get purified by receiving the knowledge. So everyone is inspired to see this temple constructed. I don't want to ask, but how many of you have already started your service towards this project? Almost everybody. Anyway, one thing is, once you're constructing a temple, you make an initial budget. Then after some time you see, oh, the budget was less than so you have to keep making the effort. Prabhupada once told me, we are professional beggars. He said, we are professional beggars. So we're always begging. Jadavasi marathon, construction marathon, book marathon. Sometimes people say, you people have too many marathons. That's good. Actually, being engaged in a marathon, you get purified. So please take part in this endeavor and construct the temple, and the temple ready as soon as possible. Hare Krishna. Can I take on some questions on this? Any questions? Can you take on some questions? Any questions or comments? What's your deadline for the temple?
Turn it on. Yes.
This mic was not loud enough.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranams, all glories to the Śrī Gopāla. I have one question regarding the temples. I'm basically from South India. But unlike the ISKCON temple, where it acts as epicenter of spreading the Krishna consciousness as well as the Vedic culture knowledge, including it has a lot of programs to spread the Krishna consciousness. But many of the South Indian temples, when, or for that matter, it's more about going to the temple, praying to the God. Is there anything behind that? I like this ISKCON, what we are doing. But is there any reason, though they are so ancient, but those things are not followed what we are doing here?
There are different approaches to temple construction. There is the South Indian approach, based on which the temples in South India were built by the kings. Then you have the Rajasthani export architect. And you have different, it doesn't matter what design you choose, the temple should have cleanliness, people should follow spiritual standards. The temple is essentially a place where we go to get purified. And you can see the environment should be really pure. People come to ISKCON temples and say, we come here why? Where we can find peace, we can see the presence of the Lord. So, the temple is a place where we go because of the mercy of the Lord and worship the Lord. Architecturally, it doesn't matter what approach you take. Any more? What's the deadline for the temple?
Deadline supposed to be completed the fall of 2023. So next year,
Very good.
towards the end of next year. Yeah. Krishna.
Hopefully there's no COVID, you should be able to achieve it.
By Diwali. Diwali.
Diwali, yes, why not? Govindajī Diwali.
And just like when people are making their own homes, you want to complete it as soon as possible. So our goal should be this temple of Madana-mohana be completed as soon as possible. So, I imagine you haven't fixed a target, but you like to do it as soon as possible.
Yes. Please your blessings.
ASAP.
Yes.
Everyone sitting here, I think, has already started their commitment.
Yes, Caitanya. Everybody here is already pledged.
Yes, most of the donors are here.
But
Some of the members are still waiting to make their place.
when you're constructing a temple, the budget keeps increasing.
Yeah. So the
Am I
budget
right?
is, Mataji would like to know what's the budget. It's $11 million is the budget. We got 8.5 million pledges. We only have 2.5 left.
Oh, that's nothing for Washington.
Yeah.
It's probably just change for Washington. If you have 8.5 pledges, the balance should not be a problem. Actually, many of our devotees in temple construction, they go house to house to solicit funds. Of course, in this culture, here it may not really look proper. The purpose is we should all become beggars for the Lord and try to complete His project as soon as possible. Okay. Anything else?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Yes, Hare Krishna Gurudev. You mentioned that whoever helps to build or builds the temple of Krishna, Krishna will have the house built for that person.
Prabhupada said that. Told that man in Bombay. You are building a house for Krishna, Krishna is building a house for you in Hillable. Yeah. That's a direct quote.
So will that be easy way going back to Godhead?
Looks like. Sometimes people say, you only have those shortcuts. So yes, this is one of the shortcuts. Actually, Krishna doesn't need anything. He doesn't need you, he doesn't need me. He gives all of us the opportunity to get purified. And just imagine, after the temple is built, how many thousands of people will come to have darshan. My experience is, before the temple is built, the crowd is smaller. Once the temple is built, the crowd multiplies. So even here, in Washington, that will happen. You see more and more people coming.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Yeah.
Guru Maharaj, how in the verse that we just read, we also, the purport also talks about book distribution. So how book distribution can help construct temples? Or is there a relation between book distribution and temple construction?
In the purport we read, book distribution gives you knowledge how to become a better devotee. And if you become a better devotee, you are convinced about Krishna consciousness, then you can preach to others. And you inspire others to take to Krishna consciousness. As they take to Krishna consciousness, they say, yes, let us do something big for the Lord. And that includes temple construction. The book distribution enlightens us, educates us, and that helps us become better devotees. And then you have the mood of detachment. Otherwise we think, oh, I give this money to these sadhus, what will be left for me? And then you realize, Krishna is the ultimate proprietor. Is that right? He is the ultimate proprietor. Everything should be used in the Lord's name. Okay. Yeah.
How can we understand the situation where people are giving their life for Krishna? For example, it happened in Ukraine with 3 devotees, Madana-mohana.
Oh, I just forgot. I just got news this morning. Can you show this picture? There was 4 devotees who were doing food distribution in Ukraine. All we were aware of this conflict between Russia and Ukraine. These were ISKCON devotees. They were serving prasad, food for life. They were in these difficult situations. And yesterday evening, the missiles completely destroyed the building they were in, and they died. So we could
So how can we
offer our
understand?
prayer. About these devotees, for months, distributing prasad in a very dangerous environment. Several devotees have died in this battle. What was his name?
Madan Gopāl Prabhu, Madan Gopāl Prabhu, Krishna Tattva Prabhu, and Arjun Prabhu.
They were disciples of Mathurā Gosvāmī. Any more questions? Any comments? Yes.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for nice class, Maharaj. So you were explaining that Madana-mohana is the first deity of Vṛndāvana, and also we know from history that Madana-mohana is also the first deity of ISKCON. So can you explain the significance of that?
Well, Sanātana Gosvāmī was directed by Lord Caitanya to write books on devotional service in the established temples. And the boys' temple in Israel was the temple of Rādhā-Dāmodara. And Rādhā-ramaṇa is also the name of God of this deity. And Rādhā-ramaṇa, mercy, makes it advance virtually. So, what's your question?
My question is that Madana-mohana is also the first deity of ISKCON because Prabhupada got first deity in New York. So is there...
Prabhupada probably knew that Sanātana Gosvāmī established Madana-mohana and the fourth deity. So Prabhupada wanted the deity to be in Madana-mohana, even in ISKCON. That's the only interpretation that I have. There's no Shastric statement that ISKCON's first deity can be Madana-mohana. But the fact that the first deity was Madana-mohana was because Lord Caitanya order, Sanātana Gosvāmī, he installed the deity and called it Rādhā-ramaṇa.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavad Pranam. Regarding supporting the temple constructions, if somebody asks for a contribution for a non-ISKCON temple, should we support or?
That is your personal decision and it depends upon your faith. We don't say, don't support any non-ISKCON project. That's your personal decision. We encourage people to give it to ISKCON, but we don't discourage people from donating to non-ISKCON projects.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. I have a question about how we can detach with that our heart and money and giving to the construction.
So we're very attached. I worked hard. This money is a result of my hard work. Well, what are you going to do with it? Buy something fashionable. Buy a new car. Buy a new house. Or put it in the bank. But that's not going to give you any real happiness. Whereas if you sell the money. In Moscow at one time, when we were working to build the first temple, the devotees were so austere. Many of the ladies gave their jewelry to the temple to sell and use it for temple construction. The devotees were so enamored. Attachment leads to misery. Whether you get attached to your bank balance or you get attached to your relative, it leads to misery. And detachment brings you closer to Krishna and makes you lead more peaceful life. If you want shanti, then you should get detached. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. We stop now. Any more questions?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Once we build the temples, does that mean we can detach from our material life and join the temple?
If you're a householder, we recommend you continue where you are, continue with your business as job, and serve Krishna from outside. Then we can say you can move into the spiritual temple. If you're a Gyasa, then I advise you stay where you are. All right?
Yes.
So, thank you very much. Thank you.